Welcome to Mama T Energy. I'm Tiara, aka Mama T, and I invite you on a journey to loving your life through stories, channeled messages, and energy work. I love life, and it is my mission to guide you and millions like us to discovering our passion for life. Let's open our hearts and dive in. Today, we have a very special guest. Julie is joining us, and she is a holistic practitioner who guides people to heal, grow in order to live balanced, fulfilled, and expanding lives using modalities such as inner child healing, shadow work, spiritual practices, Reiki, human design, and coaching tools. Welcome, Julie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for this conversation today.
Me too. So, to begin, can you talk a little bit about shadow work and what is it shadow work to you and how do you help people through that?
So shadow work can be so many different areas. And so it just depends on where, my current client is at. So it could either be a version of themselves that they don't like, and we bring that version of themselves to the table and work through it, work through what is it that they don't like about that version of themselves? What is it that they are kind of going against it? And finding ways of how they can shift the perception of it, shift the view of like that version of themselves, and like sharing more love and compassion. So that is like one part of shadow work, is like bringing different aspects of yourself, like yourself from the past, yourself from the present, that you don't like, or you wish you didn't have, or you wish that, like you didn't react that way, back 10 days ago, 10 years ago for a certain situation.
Mhm.
And so it's all these like working with different shadows and different versions of yourself. And then the other element of it is the situations in life, that you've regretted, the situations in life that you've beat yourself up about, the situations in life that you don't feel good about. And again, it's shedding light on that. It's looking at it a different perception. It's taking the view and perception you have in your head, and it's like, how can we look at this differently? How can we share compassion for what was happening at that time based on those circumstances? And it is not completely saying that, especially if it is like something that happened to you that caused you to react in a way that you don't feel good about. It is not saying that whatever happened to you is a bad thing or a good thing. It's honoring what it made you feel, and honoring, what it was happening in that moment, and honoring the fact that you reacted out of this place because of what happened to you. So it's like coming in that place of like not avoiding, just really facing it and really sharing that compassion piece more towards yourself and towards who you were. Because I think that a lot of the times when we want to move forward towards something, when we want to bring in something new, and if, there's this thing that we want to bring in, but then there's this like past that we're like, well, no, like, I don't like that part of me. And, it's kind of like that version of me was not okay. And I know, like, I've kind of worked a little bit on myself in terms of like the hustler identity.
Mhm.
And there's a part of me that is a hustler, but also in human design, I'm a projector. And, there's this narrative of human design saying projectors can only work 4 to 6 hours. So I thought, you know what, like, I cannot be a hustler. Like, I need to like put that identity down. That identity down doesn't belong here. And I
Mhm.
was no, but then there's no compassion for that version of me. And so I had to bring that version of me to the table and say, wait, you belong here too. And there's a reason why you are a part of me. There's a reason why you brought me to where I'm at today. You've shown me so much. I've learned so much. Like, my hustler is what taught me to excellent time management skills. Without
Mhm.
the hustler, I wouldn't have that, because when I was in university, I had like 6, 7 jobs at one point and was going to school full time. And I
Wow.
learned, yeah, I know. And I learned time management to the T. Like I had an agenda and I was scheduling things by the hour. Now I don't do it that way. I live more freely, but I understand the concept of time and how much time you have in a calendar and in a day, in a month. I understand it. And it's like I never feel like I run out of time anymore.
Oh, I
And
love that.
I wouldn't have like known that or gone into this place without the hustler
Yeah.
version.
I love that. And so what I'm hearing is like the shadow side is really defined as like a side that might make us uncomfortable about ourselves. It's an aspect of ourselves. It's still a part of ourselves, but we might have defined it as something that is like wrong or we need to fix about ourselves because of whatever reason belief came up about it. And so we're trying to push it to the side. But I love the conversation around offering compassion to that side of ourselves. How do we bring it forward? How do we honor it? How do we incorporate it into and embody this as a part of ourselves, because it is a part of ourselves. We don't want to hide from it. We want to like live in it. And it brings to mind like the visual, because a shadow, right, is like this dark side. If we're standing in bright light, then that casts a shadow, and the brighter it is, the bigger the shadow is, and we get to see it on the ground. And I think it was, I want to say Lady Gaga. Like literally yesterday, I was like scrolling through social media, and I someone posted or reposted a conversation, like an interview that Lady Gaga has, and the blurb, the little quote was, in order to like, the more that you're in the light, the more shadow that you have. It was something about that, right? And it was like the more that we're doing this work, right? Or how it read to me was, the more that we're doing this work, the more that we step into our light, the more that we honor who our true selves are, the more that we become our full, authentic, and our power selves, the more that we're going to start seeing and having awareness of that shadow. And it's not saying that it's bad, right? I feel like, there's so much in society that says like dark is bad and light is good and whatever. But like, what if we took any sort of meaning from it and just allowed it to just be like, this is a side of ourselves that is also an opportunity to learn and grow from. And so in order for us to continue to step into the light, we have to continue to honor this shadow that comes with it.
Yes. And I love that you brought that up because I do believe that as well, like 100%. It's a duality and you can have one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to kind of use the same because I think this is something that people can relate a little bit more, the same with emotions. Like you have to be able to experience the low emotions to be able to experience the high. You can't like just have the high without the low, but you can be in that space of numbness as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like that is like, and that's when you don't experience any high or low. But if you're experiencing high, you're always going to experience the low. So the same, it's like if you're going to be tapping into a light, the light is going to shine a light on the shadows and you're going
Mm-hmm.
to see them more. So the more inner work you do, the deeper you go. So you're like, yes, you're kind of like tapping into that, you know, that confidence version of you, right? The confidence, the worth, and the love and the compassion towards yourself. But then it's like, oh, wait, but there's this thing that you need to also look at, and it's going to appear. And I always believe that when it appears, it happened at the moment that you are ready for it
Mm-hmm.
and that you
100%.
can hold it. You are capable of holding it. It would have not come at any other moment because in the present moment, you can ask yourself, would the 5 year ago version of me been able to handle this? And most of the time, the answer would be no. Like the shadows I'm holding for myself now, like if you had spoken to me 5 years ago, I would have been not been able to comprehend it
Mm-hmm.
even to that level.
100%. That's like literally divine timing, right? So divine timing meaning that everything shows up at the exact time that you're ready for it, right? And you might not think, like, especially when things that happen are going out of our control, that we're not really like looking for, when those show up for us, you might feel like, no, I wasn't prepared for it. But really, when you like look back from like a untriggered, unemotional state. And you look at it like, you know what? Like I handled that the best that I could with the tools that I have. And now I might have better tools. So I might handle it differently. But I did a great job. And you know what? The tools that I have now, I probably learned from that experience that I'm looking back for. So like that's how we grow. That's how we expand. Like I have perfect example actually was like, oh, this week I had an interview for a like TikTok live hosting position where I would be working with a crystal shop, doing TikTok lives for them. Super cool, very in alignment with like the work that I do. I'm like super excited about it. And so I was supposed to go on Monday for the interview, and I get in my car. I even like planned time because I knew that like I have a leak in one of my tires. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna fill up my tire in enough time, and make sure that when I get there, because I don't know exactly the area I'm going to, but it's downtown LA. It's in Koreatown. I know parking is always gonna be crazy, so I'm gonna allow myself time to be able to park and just like gracefully walk in, all that good stuff. So I go down. That's my plan. I'm ready to rock and roll. I like start pumping air into my tire, but for whatever reason, I decided to like let my car, rather than turn my car all the way on and like let the gas run. I guess in my mind I was like, I don't want to waste gas. I'm going to put it on battery mode. And so I put it on battery mode. I put my compressor in. I'm filling up my tire. I'm listening to music. I have my air conditioning running. I'm doing all the things. And then at some point I'm just like, okay, I'm probably killing my battery. I should, put the gas on now. It's probably almost done with the compressor. So I flip it. And the second I flip it, I'm like, the ignition, of course, requires more battery to turn it on. So I overpower my battery and kill my battery in doing that. And so here's your lesson. Don't do that. But also in that moment, I was like, okay, whoops, I just like my battery's dead. What do I do? My car's not turning on. It's not even clicking. What am I going to do? And I have like the car charging thing. So I was like, I have like the portable charger. I've killed my battery before. It's fine. Like I know how to jump myself. It's all good. So I'm like, all right, cool. Take a deep breath. Let's grab the charger. Let's do it. I put the thing together. I'm like hooking it up. I go to charge it, and then all of a sudden it's like batteries protected, like it's giving me an error message. And I'm like, why can't you just charge? Like it's gonna be fine. Like I just need you to just jump my battery so I can go. Like we can do it. So it's not working. About 10-15 minutes ago, and I'm like, you know what, here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna go ahead and reschedule it. Like there's already in the Indeed app, there was like a place where I can click in the link and just easily reschedule it for the next day. I rescheduled it. I had a phone number for the manager who I was expecting to interview with, and I messaged her on separately as well to be like, hey, I'm just having car battery trouble. If I can get it to jump before and shortly, I will come in today, but if not, I'll just come in tomorrow. And she's like, don't even worry about it. I'm not even in the office today. It would be somebody else. So like you can totally come in tomorrow and I'll interview. And I'm like, all right, okay, perfect, wonderful. So in the moment, I'm just like, I recognize that I could have just completely like 5 years ago, Tiara would have been like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is like a job that I really want. I need this income. I'm going to lose this money. I'm going to, they're not going to think I'm responsible. And I would have completely down spiraled in that moment. Like I would have just gotten in my own head and gotten in my own way. But nope. Monday, I was just like, okay, I'll just reschedule it. I can be in my power. This isn't necessarily what I had planned for my day, but this is what's happening. And here we are. We changed it up. And you know what? It was all perfect and it was all divine. I truly believe that I was meant to go on Tuesday, because when I went on Tuesday, one, I got to interview with the person I had been like text messaging back and forth with. Two, she gave me her perspective of the job and like working for it. And she was like, you would have interviewed with the owner, which I think you would have had a different experience with. But it was such a great conversation. It was supposed to be 15 minutes. It went for 90 minutes. Like we were just chit chatting and having such a great time. I felt like, it felt like, okay, the universe is God, source, the divine was trying to make sure that I had the best experience for this interview possible. So I really could like fall deeply in love with this opportunity and this position and be open to like, I had so many ideas for the company too. So they're like, oh, wow, this is great. Right. So it's just like, I created space for such a magical moment. But had I not been in my power with it, I probably would have tried to rush it. I would have tried to control it. I would have tried to like, I don't know, get a lift and like been freaking out because the window to my car was open because it's battery operated. So I wouldn't have been able to roll up my window. So I probably wouldn't have given my best self if I had gone into that interview and showed up because I'm like, oh my gosh, my car's in downtown LA and my window's open and what's going to happen? And, and like, I'm not there, right? I wouldn't have been fully present. So what I did was able to set myself up to be fully present, right? And so this is the work, right? When we do this kind of work, when we work on ourselves, we're able to bring forward our personal power. That's where we can really handle any situation that comes our way. And that includes including the light and the shadow side of life, the duality that comes with our life, the happiness and the sorrow. We have a better respect for both when we can actually acknowledge both as they're happening.
Yeah. And it's so true. I love that you brought that up because like my biggest thing that I use is like, whatever's meant to happen, meant to happen. Like if something was planned that day and it got canceled, it got rescheduled. It's like, okay, it wasn't supposed to happen. The universe has my back. There's a reason. I may not know the reason. I may find out the reason in hindsight, or I may never find out, but I just trust enough that the universe has my back and that was just not meant to go that way. And sometimes, it's like in your case, you find out later on, like, okay, yes, the interview ended up amazing. So this is why it was not supposed to happen the previous day, regardless of, what happened with your car, right? Regardless of that, it was not meant to happen that day. And that is like, I guess for me, that's such a big ingrained belief that I've put in with myself and it's allowed me to surrender to the moment. It has allowed me to be okay with the pivots, with the turns, with the detours. And then, sometimes things end up happening for the better and you're like, oh my God, that was awesome. Or you're like, okay, wait, thank God I didn't do it that day. Or thank God that didn't happen. And I think even the rescheduling of this podcast, we had to reschedule, because my partner was supposed to have a surgery on Friday. It got canceled and it was the next day after the full moon. And I knew I did tell him, I was like, whatever you do, just don't schedule your surgery on a full moon. And he's like, okay, a day after. And I was like, okay, I'll swallow it. But it's because it's not the day of, but then it ended up getting canceled. And I'm like, well, you know what? The universe has my back, whatever it is for whatever XYZ reason. And so I think it's just, and that also that ties in easily with the compassion for ourselves, that we are human and the world is always changing and shifting and things are going to happen in our external that is out of our control.
Exactly.
Whatever goes, right?
Right. I heard you say surrender to the moment, and I want to kind of talk about this word surrender, because it's become a part of my own personal mantra where I'm just all right, I'm practicing surrendering because I know, in my leadership, in this, I do find that I'm like, okay, I'm trying to this is how I'm going to control it. This is how I'm going to manage this. This is how I'm going to do this. And you know what? I'm going to step back. I'm going to surrender. I'm allowing my soul to lead. I am allowing God to lead. So I just go back to the word surrender. So I want to hear you speak on, one, what does surrender mean to you? And two, how do you put it into practice?
Well, there is one example that came up, and actually it would be really fun to express this one. So surrender, the way I see it, is kind of stepping back, taking away the doing. And it doesn't mean not to do. It means you can take an action step. You can do the one thing, but then instead of continue doing the 10 steps after that, it's more okay, take that step back and see what happens. It's almost don't over plan.
Yes.
Don't over control. Don't overdo it. I guess that's the best way that I can explain it. So here's a beautiful example. So as I guess who I am, and in terms of my one-to-one in my business, I tend to talk about a lot of topics, as you introduced me, there's a lot of things that I do, but it's all intertwined and it all makes sense in my mind in the sessions. It all works. And the funny thing is that I'll get, people come to me for guidance on something. And in the past, now I've like really learned to surrender to this, but in the past, like I would be like, oh, okay, so these people came to me for this. Oh, that's amazing. That would be like a great thing that I could do as a service.
Right.
And I'll try to sell it. And it never worked.
Same. I've been there. I know exactly what you mean.
I think like one of it was like I had friends come to me and they're like, oh, we want to do a couples human design reading. And I was like, yeah, sweet, cool, like awesome. Like I've never done it and I did it and we had so much fun. And I'm like, okay, now I offer couples human design readings. No, I haven't had anybody booked since. And so here's the thing when it comes to the surrender piece is that people can come to me for different guidance, and it's being like open to receiving whatever it is that they need that guidance, because they see a gift in what I offer. They see something that I can help them with, but it's them that sees it. It's not the whole world.
Right.
They see it from their eyes and their perception. So instead of trying to just take every little nugget and try to make an offer out of it, I'm like, well, you know what? Here's what I do. Let me share. I'll share my knowledge. I'll share tools. I'll share everything. I have no problem in that. I do it through like social media. I do it through in person, things that I do here in Whistler. And then whoever gravitates, like, yes, I can give like, okay, there's different ways you can work with me, but I just keep it simple. Simple. And then if there's anything else, I just allow them to come to me. So that's the surrender piece. The surrender piece is not trying to make something out of everything, not trying to like figure it out and throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. It's like, no, you know what? How about you come to me? What do you see in me that I can help you? And not necessarily always needing for it to become a program or another offer or another thing.
I love that.
So that's the example I wanted to use as surrender for, especially if anybody who's listening, who is a coach or who is an entrepreneur. You don't like whatever somebody comes to you with, you don't always have to be like, okay, now I need to like make that a thing.
You can create space, but it doesn't have to make it like a whole, like, so that's literally the same thing where I'm like, okay, well, I was creating my calendar, right? And I'm like, okay, well, let me have a calendar and link for podcast interviews. Let me have a calendar link for mentorship. Let me have a calendar link for my 60-minute, my 30-minute, my this minute, like there were so many things. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do a 10-minute tarot and then a 20-minute tarot and then a 10-minute Reiki session and a 20-minute. I was like, but sometimes when people come in for a tarot reading, they need Reiki and then vice versa. And I'm like, you know what? There's like, now I have 19 links. I don't like this. Let me just clear this out. So we're going to remove this. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to just make it, okay, you can have, this is how much this amount of time with me is. And in that session, you get to like, it's bespoke. You get to choose, what is it you want? We're going to have a little bit of tarot. We're going to have a little bit of energy healing. We're going to have a little bit of mentorship. Okay, fantastic. We're going to do it all because that's what the space is for, right? This is what our gifts and our medicine are. And so the more that we practice and the more we expand, we can figure out how to really tailor our life to supporting what it is that our medicine that we're here to give the world.
Yes, exactly. And it's for the client as well to have the power to say, this is what I need, because they do know on some point, like they may not know exactly, but they know something. They know something that they desire guidance for, or a shift for, or healing for. They may not know, they may not be able to put into words. This is where we can come in and be like, okay, maybe Reiki is good for now, or maybe let me pull some cards, whichever it is. But the client knows something that they're like, I'm here and I want to go here, wherever that here is, however it looks like. They just have like an idea. And even when I get I get people that come, like for me for tarot readings, like I do them at markets. And it's really interesting because it's like I just sit back, another piece of surrender. I sit back. I don't go, oh, want to come tarot reading? No, I sit back. I got a sign. The sign, you can read it. Everybody can read it. It's all good. And I just sit. And like I chat with the vendors next to me. And then whoever wants a reading, beelines to my table. And they're like, oh, I need a tarot reading. And I'm like, okay, cool. Come on down.
Yes.
But I don't sit there. I'm not like, hey, I'm offering tarot readings. Like, come on in. Like, I want to give you a tarot reading. Do you want a tarot reading? Do you want a tarot reading? Like, I don't do any of that. I sit back and I just let them all come to me.
I
Because
love it.
people who come, they know there is some, like, whether there's like a conscious awareness or not, there's somewhere inside them that is like, I'm seeking some guidance. I'm seeking, or I'm uncertain of something, or like there's something that I want an answer to, whatever it is. But there's this like little niggly feeling that they're like, oh, okay, hi, can I get a reading?
Right? It
And
is. Yeah, go for it.
yeah, it's just like trusting and surrendering to that people have that power. People know what they want and what they don't want.
I love it. And it's like, going more off of that, it's just like your orthogenetic field, like your energy field. People are attracted to it. Like you don't necessarily need, the perfect marketing words. You don't necessarily need, it's like your energy, when your energy is in alignment and their energy is alignment, it just clicks and it just makes sense and people show up for what they are attracted to. And it's fantastic. And you just have to hold your power, hold your frequency so they know like where they're beelining towards. It's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Because my sign just says tarot readings. It doesn't say anything else. It doesn't, it's just tarot reading, $20. Boop, that's it. Like, and I do like the quick ones, right? Because it's a market
Yeah.
space. Yeah. And it's just like, that's it. Nothing
Fantastic.
else. Like there's like, and then like, I mean, there's an image, like a graphic on the thing just to make it look pretty. But
Right. But they know, people know what they want. And it's so interesting too, because I think that's part of our radical self-responsibility is having a little bit of awareness, like having an awareness that we're looking for a transformation. We might not know what the transformation is, but that's like the first step, is just knowing ourselves enough to know that, we're looking for a shift. We're looking for a change. We're made for more. We're ready to get better and better and better and grow and expand. And then once we have that awareness and we claim that awareness, we're going to be directed into the direction that's going to move us the next step forward. Not overwhelming ourselves to try to move like 18 steps forward at one time, but just the next step, moving the next step, the next step, and the next step. That's how manifestation works. That's how growth works. That's how God, source, the universe, whatever divine beings, that's how they work, and teaching you and leading you and guiding you. Just the next step, just one step in front of the other.
Exactly. And I love that you say that, because sometimes when we think too much ahead of the future, we can get overwhelmed in what's there, overwhelmed in that unknown, overwhelmed of like trying to figure it out. Whereas really, you bring back into the present. And as you were saying earlier in your story, like you were pulled in the present moment of what was happening with your car to navigate that. And it's like, come back in the present and like, just deal with the moment.
Right.
What in the moment you need to do that like first step, that first thing. And it could be an action, or it could be like, hey, I'm going to surrender. Or, if you're doing shadow work and it feels all like, heavy and icky, it could just be, sitting with yourself and holding that space with your emotions. It doesn't always necessarily need to be an action step. It can be anything.
I love it. I love like the surrender and the action step is so potent and powerful, especially for those of us out there, me included, who are like, okay, like in order for me to control this is what I have to do. And then I'm like, do. I used to say to myself, I do what I have to so I can do what I want to do. And there's a lot of doing. Like I need to do my homework. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do that. This is how I can hold on to whatever it is that I desire and make it move forward. But what I've learned is that doesn't matter what you do, really. Well, to a certain degree, it doesn't matter what you do. It's where is your energy? Where are you being led? Because I truly believe that the universe, God, source is guiding you to where you need to be, even if you're not willing to see it. Like when I think back to like growing up and the whole like doing what I have to do what I want to do mindset, it was like, well, I was told that all you have to do is get a degree, and then you're going to be able to get a job, and then you're going to be able to do this, and you're going to be able to travel, you're going to be able to do this once you do these things. And so then it's like, okay, I come out of school with not one but two degrees. I have two degrees, so I'm doubly able to get a job. Wait, what? I'm not getting jobs. I'm not getting the jobs that I want. I'm not getting any kind of like full-time, like what am I going to do? And then next thing you know, I'm finding jobs in the things that I really enjoy, like acting. I was getting all the things that I was told was like kind of like the irresponsible side of myself, my creative side. But hey, that is where I was guided to: acting, photography, doing so many things, opportunities to build a business for myself, like all sorts of stuff that wasn't down what I thought was the right thing to do.
I
Right.
resonate with that. I read because I got a university degree with the promise that, oh my God, I'm going to get a job and I'm going to love it and I'm going to climb that corporate ladder. And I remember the day I graduated university and I was applying to so many jobs, so many resumes out, so many cover letters, so many interviews. It was exhausting. It took me a year after university to land an administrative assistant position where I was basically, I mean, I learned a lot, but it was not what I wanted to do at all.
Right.
Not my cup of tea, but I did learn a lot in that position. But even the coaching industry, I got my certificate back in 2017. And this was before like my full-blown spiritual journey. This was like I wasn't spiritual at the time, but I was into self-development and did my coaching certificate. And I did all the steps. I got the website. I had the like Instagram. I was posting all the time. I did 365 days live. I did. Okay.
Same.
So the end result, I still made $0 in my coaching business and I had no clients. It's a balance. It's not just what you do. You can do until you turn blue. And yes, you can get it to a point that, yes, you probably are making money and you have clients and you're running a successful business, or you are working in a corporate job that you do make money and things are good in that aspect. But then you got to ask yourself, like, are you really happy? Like, how do you navigate your triggers when things go to shit? How do you hold that space? And that's where the inner work, the feminine energy, the being, the surrender comes in. That's where the shadow work comes in. That's where the inner child healing comes in. And so it is a balance of the two. And personally, I want to be able to, whatever life throws at me, like, I'm not saying it's going to always, maybe there's going to be moments where I'm like, I got this is easy, but I want to be able to hold it. Even when it's like the hardest out of the hardest and it feels like the worst out of the worst, I want to be able to hold it no matter what it throws at me. And that to me is more important, like my own fulfillment, my own, who I am and how do I hold up everything that's happening within my life and within myself is priority number one over making the money, having the house, the cars, the this, the that, because those things are bonus.
Oh yeah. Yes. You have you can have all of these material things, but if you're looking for outside of yourself to find the fulfillment, to find the happiness, to find the joy, it's never going to show up for you. You have to cultivate that within yourself, and you can have that wherever you are in the world with however much money you're having your bank account and so on and so forth. So like finding what brings you joy, finding what makes you happy, finding what it feels like fulfillment for you, that is the goal. And that is the journey that we're taking. And this is the work that we're doing. And I find for myself, like part of my like surrender sometimes it's just like, okay, I don't know what the next step is going to be. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to allow, I'm going to take a nap. Like I will take, like I will literally just allow myself to take a nap. Like I need, like, all right, when I wake up, everything will be like figure itself out. And a lot of times it does. I wake up and I'm like, all right, cool. Like I have clarity around the situation. I'm no longer triggered. I am able to like, okay, let's move forward. Let's have a conversation with whoever needs to have a conversation. Let's, you know, I don't know, somebody might send me a phone call, whatever. I get like that time, that space, something else might have created space to show up for me so that I can like, oh, I definitely know what I'm going to do next now. Like, I definitely know what the next step is now. So here we go. Let's go. Let's move.
I love that. I love naps too. And I've actually had a lot of clients sign up with things with me, whatever it was that I'm offering, whatever time frame while I'm napping.
So good.
I'll go have a nap, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh, I gotta sign up.
I love it. And you know, like the napping thing comes from that. For me, it's this idea that like when we're in our subconscious, when we're in this space, we kind of let go of the tension. So when I think about like, what is it that I'm manifesting? What is it that I want in my life? And then I realize that I might be down spiraling. I realize that I'm thinking of all the reasons why I can. I'm thinking about like, I'm really leaning into the not expansive side of myself. That's when I'm like, all right, like I need to go to sleep because I need to like allow my brain to just stop working. And I need to allow like my soul, my spirit to come forward and like shift and change. And I'll even set intentions as I go, say like, I need to like let all this go. I need to let all these beliefs go that are limiting me and shut that down so that I can open myself up to truly receive, to truly be in that feminine power and allow for whatever it is to come forward. That's going to give me the opportunity to either work through this shit so I can receive what it is that I need, do that shadow work, or allow space for what it is that I'm looking to manifest to just actually manifest.
Yeah, and exactly, like, because when you are, sleeping or napping, your ego takes a back seat. And I've noticed that when I'm doing Reiki energy healing on my clients and they fall asleep.
Oh yeah.
After that, they wake up, they're like, oh, I fell asleep. I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, man,
That's perfect.
even better. It's great. I'm like, I your ego took a back seat and I was able to go in deep and really release and like give you the energy healing that, your soul needs, your energetic, your emotional, physical body, whatever it was that I was working on with them. And so same thing, meditating, like deep meditation, like those very deep meditations, or going to sleep at night. The ego takes that back seat.
Yes, and it allows you space. Yes, yes, yes. I love that. Beautiful. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us today?
Oh, you put me on the spot. I think like going back to the topic of shadow work, I know it can sometimes feel a little heavy or a little daunting to dive into, to explore. And, especially if like some people tend to have this fear that once they open Pandora's box, it's not going to close, or it's like it's never going to end. That's not the case. That's not the case. It can be at times heavy, but know that you can hold it. Know that you are capable of that. And also that you are, like, you don't have to do it alone. You can reach out, to get help. You can reach out to do this with someone, and that can be whatever resonates with you, whether it's hiring, a coach, a spiritual mentor, or a counselor, a therapist, whoever it is that you feel comfortable, to hold that space with you, to walk along with you in this journey of shadow work. Because I will say this, coming out of, different versions of shadow work, I am a Scorpio, so it's kind of my thing. And when you come out on the other side, it's worth it. It's so worth it. It makes sense. It makes so much sense in hindsight. And you're like, okay, now I get it. I get it why I did what I had to do. I get it why I had to like face this fear. I get why I had to look at this shadow version of myself, because things just kind of unfold on the other side and you're like, wow, Okay. Life is kind of awesome. It's kind of awesome. Okay. That's cool. And then next time it comes around, you're like, well, I'm prepared now. Well, like not
Right.
like it's like I got this. Okay, let's do it. I got this. I can hold it. It'll be, and then at times obviously it feels shitty, but that's okay. You're like, I got this. I'm crying. Life sucks. I got this. Okay. Okay.
Exactly. You can hold both. You can hold the space for both, the duality, right? Like you can have that, like, I'm good. I got this. I trust myself. And I also recognize that this is a shitty situation in the moment. And you can hold both. There's space for both. You have the strength for it all. And it like makes me think of the tarot, right? Because there's like so many different cards that all cards have duality to them. That's why you have like the upside down, the whatever, like however you read. And I just think of like, like that Monday that going back to the car story, I literally pulled the Tower card that day, right? And then so it's just like I saw the card and I was like, all right, cool, awesome sauce. Like it didn't bring any sort of fear in me. It didn't like I wasn't like, oh my God, something crazy is gonna happen. It just like when the crazy hit, I was like, all right, cool. This kind of sucks, but I can hold it. I can get it. I can move forward and we can go with it. And so that is the power that comes with this work. So with this work, do you have a question for the tarot, since we're gonna slide into the tarot section of our conversation today?
Ooh. I guess it would be what guidance do they have for me for, I guess, the next step?
Yeah. Next step, what guidance?
Yeah.
Ooh, I love it. I feel like because I have two wand cards that showed up, and so wands are like kind of like that doing energy, that go go go. So I think that's like kind of funny that we have the doing suit show up, since we've had so much conversation about doing. So the first things first, we have this Page of Wands that showed up, and with this card, this is just like you're like, hey, the next step. Well, following it up with the Three of Wands too. So like the
Wow.
Page of Wands is like, okay, yay, awesome. So you have an opportunity for something new to show up, right? You have the opportunity for growth, for expansion, but we just have to like wait for that wave to show up, right? So it's just like your next step is waiting for the seeds to root, and that's where we have the Seven of Pentacles coming up, right? Like you've planted the seeds, you've got the surfboard. I love the lights, the Sears Tarot, right? You have the surfboard, so you're just waiting for that perfect wave to come in. Like you can go, like if you go now, the ride might not be as smooth. It might not be the beautiful, like thinking of surfing, right? Like it might not be the beautiful ride that you're looking for. But if you wait for that perfect crest to just show up, so that you can have that spiral, like, I don't know, Blue Crush movie, like insane ride, that's what we're waiting for. So just, you'll know the moment that it presents itself, like that's your time to go.
I love that. Thank you so much. That makes so much sense, because like before you press record, we were talking about it, and I said, right now I'm just sharing knowledge on Instagram. I'm kind of like, how do I want to show up and in what angle, but I'm not, actively selling any offers.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because like I had initially thought I was going to put an offer, and I actually did post about it, but I didn't advertise too much about it. And then the closer it came to the date, I was like, no, I don't want to do this. Like I put way too much pressure on myself. Like I don't even know in what lens I'm going to do this. I don't know what area I'm going to talk about. And I was just like, you know what? No, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to keep sharing knowledge, keep talking and sharing however I can guide and help people, and trusting that whenever, again, as you said, that perfect wave that comes, and then I'll hop on it. But right now, not the time.
It's not the time.
So intuitively,
no need to rush it.
Getting new. So I love that is what came up. That is actually really beautiful. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I love the confirmation for you. So, with that, for our audience, if they want to connect with you, where are the best places and spaces for them to find you?
Yes. So I am on Instagram. So Instagram is my jam. Julie's unknown Julie's unknown. Sorry, I went cut it ahead of myself. And then my website is juliesunknown.com. And I also have a YouTube channel where I put my podcast on. So my podcast, you can either find it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and YouTube. It's Julie's Unknown. Keeping it all simple, easy to find. That's my key. And if you ever do find yourself in the Whistler area up here in Canada, I work in-person workshops, and I offer in-person tarot readings, Reiki, all the fun stuff. And so I am actually doing a lot of focusing on a lot on in-person community events, which has been really fun. So find yourself up here, just, message me and ask me what I have going on, and then I can kind of guide you in the right direction.
I love that. I'll definitely post the links in the show notes, so definitely check that out there. Thank you so much for being here, Julie. Is there anything else you want to share before we hit the end button today?
I think, you know what, whatever life comes at you, you've got it. You've got it no matter what. And the universe God, creator, wouldn't bring it into your world if you weren't able to hold it. And this is equally the good stuff and the not so fun stuff. Both of them. Whatever's being brought to you is because you can handle it, and you got this.
Yes, I love that. You got this, friends. Everything is working out for you. Remember, you can go to mamateenergy.com for access to all the fun things that I have going on. Thank you so much for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.